Hello, and welcome to the FM podcast. I'm Jen Fritz, and I run Fritz Media, a music publicity and digital marketing firm located in Vancouver, Canada. And this is episode number 64 of the podcast. So, the topic of this week's show is creative cross pollination. And joining me on the show this week is the artist behind Montreal indie rock project, Hey Gorgeous, and that is multidisciplinary artist and musician Peet Massé. I apologize in advance. My French is very bad, so I do my best here. Peet and I had a great conversation about his journey through visual art and music and how working across disciplines fuels creativity, emotional expression, and even personal growth. And we also discuss how multidisciplinary work enhances inspiration and even prevents burnout, and the importance of authenticity and emotional connection in art. This is a really great talk. I actually learned a lot about art and the creative process, and we even talk about music. It was just a real thorough conversation. Music, art, life, all of that stuff. I really hope you enjoy it. Here's my conversation with Peet Massé. Well, hello, Peet. How are you doing today?
Hello, Jen. I'm doing great. What about you?
I'm fine. It's really good to see you, even though I just saw you 2 days ago. We had a little bit of a Zoom meeting about your project because, full disclosure for everybody, Peet is currently a Fritz Media client and we are working on a project together at the moment. So we'll get that out of the way off the top. To get things started here, I'm going to start with the question that I like to ask all of my guests, and that is, how did you get your start in music?
Well, that's a very interesting question for me because I have to get back to a very young age. And for whatever reason, in my 20s, I was doing both. I was doing music and visual art, mostly just painting.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I was more confident with painting. I think in my mid-20s before that, actually. I was pretty young, I'd say 20 years old or something. I had a little list of people wanting to buy me paintings. And I was selling them for $40 or something.
Yeah.
But I was doing a little money, and I've just started. Nobody had a website back then. And I've just started my website. I'm talking about 99 or something. None of my friends had a website, and I've just built my website. I put my stuff on there, and I've started a little something, and it just kept me going. And then I was at school. I was a total clown, and I had a hard time not being the main attention of the class. And I happened to screw. I've started college degree pretty well. But right in the middle of it, I kind of, I've screwed the whole thing. My grades went super bad because I was not attending classes all the time. And I just quit school to start some sort of a business with a friend of mine, a crazy freaking thing. Just you're too immature to understand consequences of things.
Yeah.
And I've screwed my college grades. When I was a little, 2 years later, I was that business that it was a clothing company thing about a snowboarding clothing company with a friend.
Right.
It didn't work. I got bored of it, and I was I'm gonna get back to school and I want to be a filmmaker. But I didn't have the grades to be a filmmaker because I've screwed all my degree by being a clown. So all I could get in at university was history of art. I got in there and I just kept going, doing my little paintings.
Okay.
And after that, it just leveled up to a point where I could it took a long time. It took forever. But at some point I was just making decent money with it. And I was okay. And music was there all along. But for whatever reason, I was more confident with painting. I felt I was maybe more talented. Or I had more education in the arts or something. But it took me just a longer time, a little bit, to get to be more confident with my instruments and to be comfortable with writing songs. And And the paradox in all that is that I think I'm more passionate about music than visual art. It's like a very pragmatic way to go with things. Like I used to think I was better with visual art, but I love music better. So music was kind of just like a fantasy.
Oh,
And
interesting.
the thing that is too cool to tap in, which is crazy to say because I think people that really want to be visual artists, like it's the fantasy as well. Like it's the thing they want to tap in, but they're not, they don't have the guts to give, give it what it takes. But now visual art is a little bit my day job.
Right.
And I use the money I do with visual art to inject in music projects right now.
How long have you been working in music then?
I've released a first album that was like a total failure, but 20 years ago. It was something in French, super inspired by Dinosaur Jr.
Oh, I like that.
Jemaskis is literally my
Is he your hero?
idol.
Oh, listen, you're talking to the right lady. I also love some Dinosaur Jr.
I should put my Dinosaur Jr. cap on, but I have to dissociate myself a little bit. Otherwise, everybody is just going to be like, this guy is just like an emulation. But yeah, and I think it was disgusting. Like, I just hear that thing and I just like want to, I don't know, like it's hard to listen. Then I didn't record anything for 15 years. I was just like trying to make it as a visual artist. I was working so hard. It was so long. Like it's a hard and long journey just to make it
in one discipline. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially in Canada, I'd say I don't know how it is I don't know how it'd be if I grew up in Toronto or whatever, but in Montreal, like we have like a couple of resources and like, but the market is pretty small and like it took me forever. And I was like, once I get my head out of the water, if I have some time or some flexibilities at some point in my life, then I'm gonna maybe do something in music. But it was like during the pandemic only that I saw that window opening up to me because I was isolated. I didn't have nowhere else to go. And for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, but I mean, actually 2 years prior to that, I realized two pretty big public art, artworks, these kind of big artworks we see in parks and in front of public buildings and stuff. I had 2 of those, made a little bit of money with that, and art grants as well.
Nice.
And it was like, I never felt as rich as, just 2 years before the pandemic. And I had a little bit of money. I was like, I'm going to travel with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go in. I need to travel so much. And now I could not. So I was stuck home with a little bit of money, with a lot of time.
Yeah.
I'm recording an album.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So the title of this week's show is Creative Cross Pollination. And obviously, I wanted to talk to you because you are a multidisciplinary artist, as you've already touched on, and you work across different mediums. And I thought it'd be a kind of an interesting conversation about, what it's like and, how those sort of creative disciplines might influence each other. So to start off, for people who aren't familiar with your work outside of music, you've talked about it a little bit, but maybe you could tell us a bit about the different creative disciplines that you work in.
Yeah, outside of music,
so you're a visual artist.
Even in visual art, I would define myself as a multidisciplinary artist. Even in that field only.
Yeah.
Because I tap into video, sculpture, installation, photography. And I've started most as a painter. And I didn't put painting like aside because I don't like painting anymore. It's just because every time I had the opportunity to level up for whatever reason, to get money, to get a grant or whatever, it was to make research.
Yeah.
So it led me to go to university a little bit more and to do like research projects, and like one thing led to another, and you're just like tapping pretty much everything. And then all you're trying to defend as a visual artist is a statement mostly and a research project rather than technicalities of the mediums you're working in.
Yeah.
So the mediums at some point they just get to serve ideas rather than ideas serving a medium. So I would describe myself mostly as a sculptor
Okay.
who's pretty much all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's your personality anyway, I think.
It was really funny because it was not a long time ago. There was like I think it was on Radio Canada about 2 weeks ago. There was a show about polymath people.
Yes.
Yeah. And the way they were describing how like what it is, what a polymath person is, I felt a little bit connected to that. But they were describing these personalities with a lot of, virtuous qualities, like they're geniuses at stuff. So like everything they try to get really good at. So I'm not sure I'm really good at everything, but one thing is for sure is that I have to touch a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Have you always been drawn to multiple forms of artistic expression?
Mostly two, which would be visual art and music. Like, I don't even think about writing a book or like directing a movie or like whatever other kind of art fantasies I could possibly have. I always had those two things in mind. Like at some point I wanted to do movies, but I don't want anymore. Like my life is already so challenging right now. So if I can do a little bit of, couple of cool things with music, I'm gonna be happy. Yeah, and I could totally be happy just doing visual art, but
you got the music though.
but yeah, I get the music. And the thing is that these two mediums, like they do two different things. And it's awesome because visual art is a little bit more about the intellect and a little bit more about theory. It's a little bit more static and a little bit more like cerebral.
Yeah.
And music is really more like music could be super cerebral as well. But music has a thing that visual art doesn't have, which is you could go more raw and more emotional. And like in every mediums, and I think everybody is different because I've been having that conversations with other visual artists. And I was like, don't you think music is more emotional? And my colleagues were like, no, because I really get emotional with visual art. So I was like,
yeah, that's true.
Probably
though.
Everybody's just real different.
Yeah.
Some people just get really emotional in front of a painting. I'm like, me, it's Dinosaur Jr. that gets me emotional.
Well, yeah, everyone's different, Sometimes you can watch a movie that just affects you in a certain way, or you read a book or in front of a painting or a song that, yeah, art is, I think it just depends on the person, but art
For sure.
should evoke emotion. Or sometimes it's just a pop song too, right? So, but it makes you happy.
A good Tyler Swift song once in a while hits the spot for me.
Yeah, same. I am a big fan of pop music, and I am not ashamed of it. I love a good pop song.
We should.
Do you consider yourself a musician who does other creative work, or an artist who happens to make music?
Right now, an artist who happens to make music. I'm hopeful about finding a 50 balance at some point.
Yeah.
And like I don't expect to have the luxury to have that much of a good run with music. So I'm gonna be able to put visual art aside and just like live off music.
Yeah.
If it happens, it'd be awesome. But that's like I don't even think about this. I see it as something impossible right now. But I'm just like working on leveling up the whole thing, and we'll see where it goes. But at the moment, I'm a visual artist making music.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to check, but that's what I guessed. So bringing it back to this idea of creative cross-pollination, how does your art in one discipline influence your work in another?
There's that thing with music. I'm really trying to do something different than visual art. And I think a lot of my visual art colleagues and friends would be like, why are you doing rock music? Like, because I've been to the masters in visual art, and we just like everybody's into like very more conceptual stuff, and they try to put like and the kind of music my friends my visual artist friends listen is definitely not what I'm doing. I cannot really pinpoint exactly why, but my hypothesis is I use music not the way I use visual art, because if I would do the same with music, I'd do something completely conceptual. And even in music, I'd be probably more multidisciplinary. I would like do exhibitions. I would do like audio exhibitions and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just do super codified rock music.
Yeah.
Or electro or whatever. And the reason is because I want to transcend the social surrounding, professional and relational surrounding that I have in order to tap into something real different. And it just like it just makes me feel I'm traveling a little bit. That's like I want to escape my daily visual art mindset. And when I tap into music, it's just like I want to do something simpler.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. I think I do even more researches in music right now than I do in visual art, but it's mostly technical because I'm learning to produce.
Right.
So I'm studying music all the time, listening to music like 80% more than visual art right now. But I think I have a mindset right now that says keep that thing a little simple because it's a breath of fresh air for me.
Yeah, I understand that idea of it being an escape because you're kind of scratching two different sides of your brain on. Like it's two different ways of thinking about things. Like your visual art is something completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both artistic pursuits, but so different. So I can understand wanting to do something a little less cerebral in the music. That makes sense.
Yeah. That's exactly the point.
That totally makes sense. Do you find that the different disciplines exercise, as I just said, like different creative muscles? Like, are they drawing from the same source or are there different muscles?
I think they come from one major core source, which would be the need to express myself.
Of course.
That's the very fundamental, but it takes two different roads pretty quickly in the process. And like on the visual arts side, I get to be real more political.
Yeah.
And really more into science as well.
Yeah.
I tend to be a little bit more objective as well because since I'm a little bit more political and into science, I use actual real data to, infuse my art. So it's absolutely not a thing with music. Music is just like, let's do poetry. Let's just like go absolutely 100% subjective. There's also a thing with visual art. I never talk about myself. It's like just me having a perspective as an outside kind of narrator on different topics. And I'm a little bit more into the environment.
Yeah.
And more precisely, the endangered species. So I talk about this. And me, I'm nowhere. And if you see my Instagram profile about visual art, like maybe there's one or two pictures of my face, but most of the whole thing is just my works or like stuff I'm looking at. And on the music side, it's very crazy because I've just realized recently how much the image of the artist is important in the music industry. Because
it is.
This little, scale that I am right now. I've been asked for a press photo. I never been asked for that in my 20 years of professional career in visual art. Like maybe I've been asked once for a press photo as a visual.
They're more concerned about the art as opposed to the artist.
If you're in a mag or in a journal or whatever, they're gonna put like a picture of your work.
Interesting.
And your name, but never your face. And in music, it's just like your face. Not only they want one, but maybe two or three. And then you just end up asking a friend, hey, let's do a photo shoot. And you're just like, yeah, all right. Never did that. It's a little weird.
That's really interesting. I'd never thought about that before, about how in music it would be more coming from you in a deeper way. Like this is more, because I mean, I think that if I thought about like creating visual art, I would think the same, but the way you're explaining it makes sense. It's about so many other things. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you are not at the center of it in the way that you are in music.
No.
That's quite interesting. I'd never thought about that before.
One of my favorite band is actually Propagandhi.
Of course.
And in their lyrics, they never talk about themselves. They talk about political topics they want to tap in. And the subjectivity you get from the songs are from, the voice of the singer they're playing and the whole, kind of emotional landscape that comes out of the songs at some point. And you relate to them visually through, videos or shows you go see, but basically they don't really talk about themselves.
No.
And I've been a little bit following that ethos with my visual art, but I've been also living a lot of powerful things inside that I never could express with my visual art, having the statement that I have. So it was very beneficial for me in terms of self-growth, in terms of, I think it's really therapeutic for me, music, because I can tap in things that are fundamentally important for me that I never could had used with visual art, which are more related to psychology, to
more personal.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be researched. It doesn't have to be complex. It's just things people relate about, common things that are universal, like when you go through a heartbreak, a breakup, or whatever things that crosses your mind that are simple, but that could be as well super fundamental to talk about. Now I can do that with music, and it's a relief, really.
Yeah, I imagine it would be. I really enjoyed that. I had never thought about it that way. So that's great to know. We often hear that artists should, find their niche or, what they're best at. Have you ever felt pressure to kind of just pick one lane and stick with it?
Not so far. I think the pressure would come very indirectly, like with finances. Like maybe you have a hard year one year, like financially, and you're like, yeah, maybe it's the kind of works that I've, created this year. There's too much penises. I mean, in the art world, there are individual art world. There are 4 topics right now that are, if you tap into them, you're gonna for sure have more grants, more exhibitions, which is the environment, queer, decolonialism, and feminism.
Oh, yeah,
these are the 4 axes of the contemporary arts right now.
No penises.
No penises.
No.
It's antinomic to these axes, I'd say. And if you don't, and I guess it just goes with waves. At some point, it's just going to be other, subjects that are going to be
of them. Yes.
I don't want to call them trends because it would be unfair to the seriousness of the issues they're trying to raise, right? But still, there are trends in the art world. At some point, like environment was very strong, much stronger 6 years ago, and now it's going softer. And I think every 10 years, new topics gets to be talked about a little more, and
whatever's going on,
they're just related to the current political landscapes, and
that makes sense.
we have to we're drawn into it even if we don't want to. It's because the thing is with visual art is very institutional. Like there's no market like in music. You just sell cheap tickets, and you're related to big institutions that are financed by our governments or by big private corporations. And all these systems, they run by these topics as well. So it's very hard to, sideline those. But nobody never talk about this. And nobody told me, hey, you should talk more or less about this or that.
You do what you want.
Yeah, but you just realize at some point, hey, you take risks and you have less shows or more shows, more money or less money, but no direct pressure.
How do you manage your time and your energy when you're juggling different projects? Or do you just work on one at a time? What do you how does that work?
I'm trying to work on one at a time, because if I'm in 2 things at the same time, it's really annoying because I tap into different kind of emotional mechanisms, and it's a little bit hard to bridge fast from one to another. So I had one I had a really, really cool project to work on in visual art right when I was writing the upcoming album.
Yeah.
And I was like frustrated. Like it was like a pain in the ass to need to put the album because it was an opportunity. I had to do that. It was a public artwork that I was like well paid to do. And I was like, and I had like, I could do pretty much whatever I wanted. It was like a really huge, cool thing in Montreal. I was like, I'm going to put the album aside and I'm going to work on that thing. But I was like, damn, I would love it so much if it'd be just like a year later or something.
Yeah.
Because once you're going with a project is mainly music, I would say. You're so engaged emotionally, it's really hard to get pragmatical with things.
To go
Yeah.
from one to the other. Yeah.
Yeah,
To switch your brain, kind
you
of.
just get less efficient and a little bit less inspired. And at the end of the day, everything take more time. Like it's like if you really want to be efficient, at least for me, you work on one thing, then you switch to another, and you have to go through phases. So you do a little bit like a 6 months of music,
Yeah.
then 6 months of visual art or whatever. But it's very hard to be like during the same day to switch from one to another and writing art grants and doing your taxes and whatever. Like it's just like totally uninspiring.
No, I feel you, man.
Yeah, it could be done. It's just less efficient, I think.
No, I totally get that. Have you ever worried that like being involved in multiple disciplines might make people take any one of them less seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've finished a master's 6 months ago. And I already feel, a weird energy around me about people being like, what the fuck you doing, man? We don't see you around. You don't go see shows. You don't have exhibitions. Are you working on something? I'm like, yeah, I'm working on an album. And it's so hard. You have to work so much just to do it in one discipline. Like you have to be a workaholic, not because it's cool or you want to, but I don't know any artists that made it that are not like working all the time.
No, it's true.
So it's just sad because don't get me wrong, my priorities would be spending time with my parents, my girlfriend, or and my friends, and like deeper, more profound human experiences than just working. But it seems it's very hard to not work very hard. And it's just for one discipline. So the crazy thing is like I'm starting a second one right now with music. How I'm going to do it since it's already so hard just with visual art. And my strategy is I've been working for 20 years now as a visual artist. And I think things are getting easier.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take it for granted at all, but I can sit a little on a couple of things. So it gives me a little bit more time and, flexibility to do something else.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, I know in music, some people like just like broke through 20 years old or something, but it could be real long as well and hard. So I'm like, it's very pretentious to start a music project knowing that you put so much effort in another discipline right before. And I'm like, it's probably gonna be as hard or maybe even harder to make something, go in for real in music. So
well, it's like you're starting at the bottom in music, right? And you've already worked your way to a certain point with visual art. And now it's just like, here, I got to start at the bottom and start this up.
The thing is, my strategy right now is just I'm going to work a lot and I have to be efficient. So like, I'm getting a little older, so I party a little less and I just like, I work better and I work harder.
Yeah.
So I want to apply that, way to that mindset to everything I do right now, because it's the only way I'm going to be able to do something with music, I guess. Because the second I have like other things come in my life, I don't know if I'd have a kid or whatever would happen, would not have time for whatever I'm doing right now because
you have life stuff like you said. I mean, you've got your your parents, your girlfriend, like anything else that you do in life, obviously you do things outside of, your creative work that you want to do. So it's hard to balance it all. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. I would say you talked about the if I was concerned about other people seeing me as being serious,
Yeah.
because I'm not just focused on one thing. So that I don't know. I think people could see I'm serious, I guess, because I don't know. I'm gonna let others decide about it. But there's the positive aspect of working in two different things. I mostly see it as inspirational
Yeah.
and motivational, because if you work like so much in one discipline, for sure at some point you're gonna get bored.
Yes.
Even if it's super cool, if you're doing music full time, at some point the touring, just the scene itself, the industry, and just like and there are a couple of things that could become really repetitive.
Of course.
And you're just like, yeah, I love music, but rather than doing like 80 hours a week, I would rather do like 30 or 40. So what's happening right now, since I'm doing both, when I get bored with visual art, I just switch to music. So I'm never bored. I'm just like super enthusiastic, and I'm always in a rush to be like, I think I didn't work enough on that thing, so I have to rush. So I'm always super hyper motivated in working in both ways, in both mediums, because of that. I'm super inspired because when I've been working a lot on music, inspiration comes back for visual art.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm in a hurry to get back there and to do a couple of things. But I remember just before having the music project, I would get a little bit more bored in my studio. I'd be like, yeah, I'm doing things because I have to right now. But now, since music is in my life, I never feel this way. I'm just always in a rush to switch to the other project. And I have that, I would call it positive anxiety. I'm always a little bit in a rush to be like, I haven't done enough in that thing. I have to double, the effort. Well, so far it's positive, I think, and I should not get crazy about work, but so far it's more inspirational, and I think it's driving me.
It sounds good. Like, does it ever, like, if you're in your studio working on your music, do you ever come up with an idea for your visual art and or do you keep the brain space separate?
They're very hard to bridge right now, so not really. Yeah,
it's just like two separate things.
Two different. Yeah, very like it's very hard to. I guess visual art would make my music a bit more. I don't know. I've thought about it a lot, and I never could really pinpoint a, precise bridge between the two. At some point, I was like, well, I think I've started the like my music a little bit more with a conceptual approach. I was like, I want it to be like a more. I want to tap in different genres, and I have that thing that's for sure. It comes from visual art. I'm a loner. So like I'm used to just work alone in a studio and produce stuff.
Because you're used to doing that. Yes, that makes sense. Yeah.
So I had a similar approach with music. I went like, I'm just going to sit and write music and produce it. Just like I do paintings and sculptures. I'm just going to be there and produce. And that human dimension of music, I'm just starting to learn it. Like when I'm jamming with my band, and it's just like a new thing to really relate on others to push a project forward. Like I'm just pretty much all the time by myself with visual art. And then at some point you just have a team because you're setting up an exhibition, but it's always like little teams. It's like 2-3 persons and whatever. And that definitely shaped the way I do music.
Okay. So wrapping things up just a bit here, why don't you talk a bit about your music project? The name of it is Hey Gorgeous, and we have the album coming out soon. So talk about that a little bit.
That album had been written 3 years ago, and I've been releasing singles since 2023.
Mm-hmm.
The upcoming album is gonna these singles are gonna be included in the album, and there are 5 other new songs in it. The latest single, which is Rocker and a Club Run, is also on the album.
Yes, we're going to have that as the song of the week this week, by the way, on the show. So it'll come up.
Awesome. Yeah, and that album should have been out about 2 years ago, but I was doing the masters. I could not do anything with it besides just putting out singles. And when I've recorded that album, it was a lot of a production trip because I had my art, like my music references in mind, mostly like indie rock, a little bit of house. And by indie rock, I mostly mean Dinosaur Jr., a couple of Canadian bands that just like grew on me recently, like Japan Droids, P.S. I Love You. I think Canada, we have I don't know, I'm not nationalistic at all about my taste, but I listen to a lot of Canadian rock. I think
we've got some good stuff.
we've got some good stuff.
Like Japan Droids are great. I also really like Pup a lot too. I don't know if you listen to them, but they're we got some good like indie rock and punk. Like it's good stuff.
Yeah. I guess I've wrote like a somebody said once Canadian music is really like we took American music and we fine-tuned it a little bit. And that I listen to in terms of Canadian music is nothing that really reinvented the wheel, but it's just like it feels like it's music that's been written upon, like it's not like crazy new stuff, but it's just like the craft is just like well done. And I think in Canada we're good about like fine tuning other stuff, whatever. Yeah, I don't think Japan Droids reinvented anything, but what they do, they just do it so great. Propaganda, like they're a little bit like still they're a punk band, but what they do, like they do it.
They just do it really well.
Yeah, better than anybody else in the game. What was the question again?
You answered it. It's okay. You did great. Right. You're doing great. Okay, so now is the time for us to head on over to our fresh content segment. Every week on the show, we discuss our favorite piece of music content for the week, and we always like to start with the guest. So, Pete, what have you got?
What inspires me the most right now is every artist that used the vintage Big Muff pedals.
Oh yeah, you love the Big Muff pedal.
Even though these are bands that I don't really listen to, let's say the Black Keys. I never really cared about the Black Keys, but recently I just tapped into their first albums, which are just like garage rock.
Their early stuff is
and I just
really
love
good.
it. And I just like listen to the Big Muff, and I'm like, it's just like a raw Big Muff without any editing or so few, and it's just like so pleasing for me to hear. So I'm just discovering new artists based on that very need that I have to hear some Big Muff. Like I never really listened to Mudhoney.
Oh, that's like I'm a total grunge girl, so that's my jam also.
Yeah. So that's my thing. And also Japan Droids are using the Big Muff.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to their albums right now with headphones in my couch and trying to, really analyze all the very nuances and the texture of the sound of the Big Muff. So when I'm going to edit my own songs after, I'm going to have some ideas how to, mix things up. And I'm recording, like I'm producing a second album right now. And I would say the main artist I'm listening to in order to have my guitar tone is Japan Droids' third album right now, which is not my favorite one, but it's the more studio album.
Yeah.
That you could really hear a little bit more of the instruments. Yeah, is that the?
That's great. You did it. You did it. Okay, so my fresh content for the week is something that's completely different than that, but it's okay, and because we're different. This song actually came out about a month ago, and it's from an artist that is huge and that everybody has heard of. But it's just like we were just talking about really good pop songs. It's one that I just can't get out of my head, and I have it on repeat so much, like I can't stop with it. Sometimes I just get obsessed with pop melody. Like that's kind of what happens. But it's the Olivia Rodrigo song called Drop Dead.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, it's a good little earworm. And if you're just looking for a fun little pop song, I suggest it. I'm a big fan of Olivia Rodrigo. I also, everybody, all the listeners know, I also really like Taylor Swift. She does write great pop songs. So that's just, I love a good song. I can't help it. That's just how it is.
I think 1979, I think it's a masterpiece.
Yeah. 1989.
Yeah. It's a masterpiece of pop music.
That's my favorite album of hers. It's so good.
And the other one she made during the pandemic, which is Super Slow with Bon Iver.
Like the folky one? Yeah.
I think it's a good one, but...
there's some good songs on it.
1989, wow.
That's the one. Like that, I know. That every song, a banger, all well written, just like so good. I love it. Anyway, glad to meet somebody that agrees with me on Taylor. That's really nice. People are always poo-pooing. Anyway, I'll link to Olivia Rodrigo as well as Peet's fresh content. I'll give you some links to the Big Muff pedal and maybe some examples in the show notes for everybody. So that's it. Thanks so much for joining me, Peet. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking time out of your day. Before we go, though, where can people find you if they want to find out more about you?
Right now, I'd say it's on social medias. I'd say where I post most of my things are on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
There's the website, www.heygorgeousmusic.com.
And then what's your Instagram handle?
Hey Gorgeous Music.
Same.
Yeah.
All right.
And on the website, it's more like an archive. Everything is there. But what is more dynamic, I'd say, is Instagram.
Okay, well, have a good weekend. And thanks for joining me. Bye.
Thank you.
Well, that was fun. That was such a great conversation. And thanks again to Peet for coming on the show. Thanks so much for listening to the FM podcast. If you like the show, please tell your friends and give us a 5-star rating and review in Apple Podcasts. You can also help us out by telling a friend about the podcast or even posting about it on your social media. Anything you can do, as always, we really appreciate it. The FM podcast is produced by me, Jen Fritz, for Fritz Media, with production assistance from Carla J. If you want to learn more about Fritz Media, check out our website at fritzmedia.ca. And to learn more about the podcast, go to thefmpodcast.com. A big thank you to Said the Whale for providing the theme music for the show. Okay, so we're going to go out with our song of the week this week, which of course is going to come from Peet and his Montreal-based indie rock project, Hey Gorgeous. This is Rocker on a Club Run.
Daughters, look up, you're single moms. This last girl just me on a club run. It's nothing towards you till I get some. Or collapse with rising sound. There it goes. Been on a binge to find out. My legs betray my allegiance. Like I'm one with this dance floor. Ain't rockers supposed to riot? Get an interval and what they're nice for. And this shuffle is my first strike, damn right. I'm pulling the dance footwork in here while the rocks in general voice shows me how to frame. This rock versus dance duality is done. That's what my high velocity claims. An old moron, judgmental artifact, but it's kind of living in me. It's a philosophical dilemma. I know it sounds silly, but it's the most important thing, really. Hey, I have another brandy. You had enough, dude. Shit, where's my wallet? And my keys. Damn, fuck. This guy's like I'm one with this dance floor. Ain't rockers supposed to riot? Get an interval and what they're nice for. And this crisscross is like sinking strike. Yeah, damn right. I'm into rock. I'm into dance. And I don't give up. And I don't give up. I'm into rock. I'm into dance. And I don't give up. And guitar in my hand. Get to figure it out now. While there's no doubt in my head. I get to figure it out now. Yeah, 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 I get to figure it out now. Like I'm one with this dance floor. Ain't the rocker supposed to riot? Get an interval and with a nice floor. And this beat stuff is like right. I'm right. I'm into rock. I'm into dance. And I don't give up. And I don't give up. I'm into rock. Got air guitar this one. Air guitar this one.
Bye. See you next Tuesday.